How y'all doing? Episode 26. As you can see in the background, that's how I feel about fantasy football. Paul might be doing a bit better, but I won't speak for him. What's up, Paul?
What's going on, man? We jumped right into the vibe check. Your vibes are obviously down. You made that very clear with your clown friend behind you there.
Poo-poo the clown.
My vibes are mixed. They're definitely mixed right now. I did not have a good week. In fact, I went 0 for 3 in all my leagues. And definitely I'm not really like in a position where I can like fully punt on any leagues or say like I cannot make the playoffs in any league, but definitely one of the leagues I'm in big trouble, and the other two I just kind of had some bad weeks. Super busy with work and everything else, but fuck all that. This is my real life. This is fantasy football, and so whatever the vibes are everywhere else, these vibes dictate all the vibes. But Andrew, I'm going to throw it back to you because today is the day where, I mean, your vibes from the group chat we've had, from our conversations in your fantasy football life, like have basically bottomed out, man, and just like let it all out. Like this is a safe space. This is a venue to just release it. So take it away.
Yeah, so to be like real, I'm kind of just dead inside. So I can't fake the emotion, but I'll just be real with you. And everybody out there, I'll be real with you guys. The league that I feel the most is the most important for me. I'm 1-6. I lost last week, as I've talked about already, by a fractional margin. That was crappy. And then I lost this week to pretty much to a sickness from Bijan, because 7 or 8 points. I feel pretty confident he would have gotten that. I want to say it was Tyler Algier who got some long not touchdown, but a long reception. That should have been Bijan, that would have been the week, blah, blah, blah. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's been rough. I've been going back and forth with people trying to make trades and just, complete tug of wars, and did get a trade done. Is it going to be good? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But, with trading, you got to give something up to get something. And oftentimes everybody wants the trade where you feel like you come out 100% on top. And that's not, if you're playing with people who know what they're doing, that's not really ever really possible, unless they know something you don't know, or vice versa. But and then another league I got just completely wrecked. At least it was by my wife, so I guess I bent over for her this time. But hey, is what it is. Felt great, but I will say some shade of positivity. The Megala Bowl, it is an important league. It's my least of importance, but I still care about it. I started off 0-6. And to put that in perspective, Paul, I don't know if I told you this, but you do get a win for a median if you beat the median score. So I was 0-3, but I was 0-6. So I was under that median the first 3 weeks. I am now 8-6. With the return of Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews turning it on. I have McCaffrey, him just being McCaffrey. Who else? Oh, I had David Montgomery. So, and then I actually started Donta Foreman this week in that league out of desperation. 12-team league, there's no trading to avoid, it's a huge tournament, so to avoid collusion, they don't allow trading. So things have worked out for me the last 4 weeks there, which has been nice. And at least there's that positivity to talk about. But overall, I still feel like I'm poo-poo the clown here.
I completely feel you on that, man. It's been a very unfortunate season. The Bijan thing was fucking ridiculous. Arthur Smith, I think they're actually gonna fine him for what he did. That's really not cool. Like, it's one thing if you literally 5 minutes before the game say, hey, this guy's not feeling well, we're not going to play him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we pivot. We find something else.
Kareem Hunt would have been in my lineup, and I would have won.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, no question. And so, yeah, that's dirty. It's a dirty move for fantasy players. It's a dirty move just in general because, like, the TV broadcasters have notes that they made and that they can't use anymore. So it's just total bullshit. And I hate when coaches do this stuff for like a fake competitive advantage that doesn't matter at all. Like, okay, you have Bijan or you don't have Bijan. That's not going to change your strategy, right? Your strategy for Bijan is, hey, we needed to tackle somebody and get them on the ground.
Well,
the strategy with Tyler Algier is it's easier to do that.
And it's also like the only thing that's going to change is the defense is just going to say like, yo, Bijan's not in, or that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's the same thing you tell the defense when he's not out there on a snap.
Right. That's really the only difference. Is just like, hey, Bijan's not out there, so we don't have to be so worried about the pass catching out of the backfield on this snap, right? Yeah. That's really it. But okay, so I've gotten my vibes out of the way. Let's
nonsense. We're ready. We're ready to move on. So last week we picked some matchups, and I combed through them. We're not going to talk through because most of them were ties. What I kind of decided to do is if we're going to tie on a certain matchup, like let's go ahead and just pick a cover or like beat the spread, because we need some kind of tiebreaker, or else we're just going to kind of stay pretty close on these. But I did get Baltimore over Detroit. I got Philly over Miami. I could have really dominated this week, but I had two fear pivots, one that you all saw and then one you didn't see. So I pivoted off of Jax because of Trevor Lawrence's knee. And I was a fucking coward and did not stay true to my Minnesota pick, which would make me look like a genius. But as Andrew knows, I called him over the weekend, and I was like, nope, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going San Fran. But, yeah, Trent Williams not being there did make a fucking difference. It made a big difference.
And difference.
Two in a row.
Difference. Yeah, he's a great player, Trent Williams, and you saw the protection for Purdy was not what it usually is.
Yeah,
same thing goes for Andrew Thomas on the Giants, but
yeah, when you have a great left tackle, for sure.
It's not as noticeable when you're not a great team already, but
what for you was like the most surprising of those wins, right? So like Baltimore, Philly, Jax, Minnesota. What game did you see and you were like, whoa, that was completely out of nowhere?
It was definitely Detroit, Baltimore for me. I always feel like Minnesota is capable of winning because they have a lot of explosive weapons, and Kirk is really good at finding guys deep down the field, which he obviously did. And then it took one like mugging of Addison on the corner or safety, whoever. I forget the name of the guy on San Fran.
Addison was so good. We're going to talk about him later.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, yeah, it was definitely the Detroit one because to me, I felt like Baltimore and Detroit were on similar level, but I believed in the momentum of Detroit. And I thought that Dan Campbell would really come prepared, and then they just got smacked in the mouth and they weren't able to get their footing for the majority of the game. So, hey, Baltimore's an odd team as well, where they can be Jekyll and Hyde. So
yeah, they always seem to be good for laying an egg somewhere, but the offense showed up. We had good Lamar, and then you marry good Lamar with their defense that finally has gotten healthy over the last week or two, and they actually were both good at the same time. And yeah, that when that happens, man, when both sides of that ball are playing the way that they're supposed to play, they're have the capability to beat anybody. The most obviously, like, I think Minnesota's a layup. That's a surprise to me because obviously San Fran coming off of a bad loss already. I thought that could be a get right game, and that wasn't. I was not surprised that Philly won. I was surprised that Miami wasn't able to do more. That was kind of one thing that I got is I thought they'd be able to do a little more. Guaran-TDs.
Yeah.
I only had one come through for me, and that was Warren. How did
that
you?
was nice. That was a good call. I was disappointed because I was so close to going. Well, yeah, like Ayuk did okay in the first half, but obviously didn't score a touchdown. But my other two hit, so I was like in line. I was like, man, I could be 3 for 3 for the first time. So mine, gosh, I'm forgetting them now. Who did I pick? I'm forgetting who I picked now.
I only have my notes. That's
because it was
that's on you, Boomer, with your paper notes.
No, I wrote them down in here. God, I'm really forgetting who I picked. I just know that they ended up being right. Darren Waller was my tight end.
Yeah, no, Waller did come through. I remember that. You got
obviously
Waller
Ayuk did not, and it was Jonathan Taylor.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I think he's going to do that a little bit more this season.
Yeah, I only really felt it was fair to put him in because maybe there was some doubt in him and in tough matchup.
We haven't seen it yet this season.
Yeah.
So that's fair. Not again.
No, I can't. That'd be too chalk now. I wouldn't pick him.
Yeah. Well, before we get into these Week 8 games, I wanted to take a minute because we're a pod. We believe in fairness. We believe in accountability.
Yep.
And sometimes when you're in the take game and you have to talk about this shit for 2 hours at a time, once a week, you're going to have some spicy takes and you're going to have some icy takes. And I didn't want to just walk away from those 7 weeks into the season. We're at the point now where stuff is starting to come to the surface. There was a lot of week 1 overreactions. I'm not gonna like spoiler alert, but there is a spicy take here that might have been an overreaction had we done this week into the season. But now we got 7 weeks down. We pretty much know who's who and what's what for the most part, as much as we can in football. So I thought we would each take a quick minute to go back in the time machine and revisit a take from the preseason that was either hot as fire or cold as ice.
So if you would allow me to, I will do my ice and spice quickly at the same time.
Okay.
So my ice, I'm gonna start with the bad. I'm just gonna overall say my take on my New York Giants was not good. I thought their offense would be legit. I thought that we would have a few breakouts. Waller, a little better lately, but I was very high on Waller. Saquon injury, blah blah blah. Point is, they have not been what I would have hoped for both fantasy and for my my fandom. And my spicy take would be Nico Collins. I said that there would be some good value. Now, I'll admit I didn't think it would be this kind of value, or else I'd have him everywhere, and I do not. But I always felt he was a really good candidate. He's a guy that was talented. He's got size. He's a red zone threat, and I thought he'd be a good, kind of like what is happening with Adam Thielen now, where he's a great security blanket for a young QB. I just didn't think it'd be to the level that it has been, where he's been actually explosive, not just reliable. He's also been explosive. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll eat my crow on that, even though I didn't really have that as my own icy take. But I definitely I definitely was on the other side of that. I heard you talk about Nico Collins, and I was like, yeah, whatever. He's a Jag. But he has been legitimately very good. And so, that was a bad one on me. I'll do my ice and spice over here. Shout out to the Spice Girls. This wasn't the preseason, but it became a very rough look for me very quickly because I've been playing around, experimenting a little bit with creating some short form content, clipping videos, and one of them that I clipped and threw out there for your viewing pleasure is I asked the question. I stated the fact that Puka Mania was dead, and then Puka proceeds to have a blow up game the immediate week following. So I have to walk that back almost instantly. Puka Mania is not dead. He's not gonna outscore Cooper Kupp every week. Calm down, Cup owners. It's not that serious, but it is not dead, and they're going to coexist in this offense. They're going to kind of vulture each other a little bit, it seems like, from time to time. So proceed with caution. But yeah, it is not dead. He is very much alive. Undertaker gif.
Yeah, and I will just jump in real quick and say, like you like to say, there is nothing actionable there. You're still going to start both those guys.
Yeah.
Regardless of, vulture here, vulture there, you're gonna start them. So
yeah.
All right.
It's just a different world now where it's not all Cup all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. And the spicy take, I've done this before. I guess I'm taking another victory lap on it. I'm sorry, people. The Cam Akers thing. I went back, listened to the pod. I went as far as to say cut candidate. Now, it wasn't really a cut. It was a trade. But I'm still going to lap that. I'm still going to call that spicy.
Definitely. That was a great one. I was actually on the other side of it thinking, well, Cam has some value, but when you suck and your team hates you, I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it all of that came from, again, I'm not grinding a ton of film. I just was reading the tea leaves of, man, they tried really fucking hard to trade you last year and nothing's really changed. So, I just didn't think that relationship was just going to be all hunky-dory again. So, yeah, that was it.
Cool.
Let us know in the commentaries what you all think of those, and if you're brave enough, drop your own icy takes and what some of your bad draft picks in there.
No problem. That people out on the internet, they've never had a bad take in their life.
Yeah, exactly. It's but you know what? You can be different. You can be the person that's emotionally vulnerable, and you say, you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong on Calvin Ridley.
And so in comments, wow, you're a freaking moron.
Yeah, exactly. Well, welcome to the age of the internet, unfortunately. But yeah, Andrew, and anything else there? You wanna hop into these games?
Let's get into these freaking games. Week 8, dude. Week 8. Yeah. How fast does it go? It's fleeting, man. This football season, it's so fleeting.
Yeah, we're literally in freaking Paul Walker's car flying off that cliff. That's at least maybe that's how one of us feels our fantasy.
Too soon, way too soon.
I don't even know how to transition from that. Bucks and Bills.
That's how you do it. Right to the point.
Bills 8.5 favorites at home. They're still heavy favorites because both these teams have been kind of struggling. The over/under, I think, is kind of showing that at 42. But I think that on paper, even a struggling Bills is a tough task for my Buckaroos. Obviously, we know the must start on the Buccaneers, which is Big Mike. Everybody else is kind of a can start. Chris Godwin is questionable with a neck. I don't think it's too serious right now. At least not anything that we're not going to know until tomorrow. But still proceed with caution. The man's got 285 scoreless yards on the year. So
yeah.
And then Rashad White, we've debated this twice now. I don't think it's worth a debate. He catches enough passes to sort of be a borderline RB2, but there's just no weekly upside with him. He just doesn't. he doesn't have the running room nor the explosiveness as a runner to take advantage of it. So both those things are bad vibes. They are exploiting his pass catching abilities, which keeps him at a somewhat decent baseline. The process says, because of how bad the Bills have been against the run this season, Andrew, Chad should be in a good spot. Is there hope?
There's hope. There's always hope with a running back getting volume. And so Rashad is in a position very similar to me of Alex Madison in terms of what they're producing, but the difference is there's nobody that they trust, the Bucs trust. So he's not getting his production, his snap counts eaten into like Madison is with Akers.
Yeah,
so,
well, I have that later.
Right, and we'll get to that, of course, that conversation. But yeah, I think that he's startable. I don't think you're going to get a big rushing day, but I do feel like the Bucs are going to commit to it enough because they want to slow they want to shorten the game. I think that if I am the coach of the Bucs,
they have to at least try it. It's the way you beat the Bills.
Right. You want to slow the game down, keep Allen off the field as much as possible, and make him get impatient, because when he gets impatient, he usually makes mistakes. He's capable of making mistakes. He's also capable of amazing plays, but
it's been the story of his career. You kind of have to take the good with the bad with him.
Right. And the good is worth the bad with Josh Allen. But back to Rachaad White. To me, he is a start.
Yeah, and for some of us, a reluctant start without much of a choice. But I agree. I mean, this is the week. This is the week you got to show me something. And he's still young enough in his career that if he shows something, it's not an irreparable reputation. But this is the week. No Matt Milano. Injuries all over the interior of that defensive line. Yeah. This is the week you have to do something in order for the Bucs to have a chance. Because if our goal is the Baker versus Allen show, we're gonna get both show very quickly.
Yeah, that's what could happen when you're playing the Bucs for sure. So
yeah,
on the Bucs side, you already know. You already know.
We know who the must starts, the Allen Diggs stack, and cooking by the book.
The question, I would actually feel decent about starting Dalton Kincaid. Mm-hmm. Dawson is out. Kincaid's gonna get all the snaps, and I think he's a good weapon. Well, don't forget, not every tight end can be like Sam Laporta and take a chunk of the offense right away. Right. It usually takes a long time, and it's been half a season, which that would actually be ahead of schedule for Dalton Kincaid.
For most rookie tight ends, and he's showing things. He's showing flashes, and well, this is a smash position for him, Andrew. Not only because Dawson Knox is out, but because when people hear the name Devin White, they think great linebacker. I say he's a great tackler.
He's very good at a straight line. He's not good in coverage.
Yeah, he is not good in coverage. He still makes mental mistakes. So, unfortunately, if he's matched up with Kincaid and Kincaid hits him with a receiver style move, a big play could happen very quickly, unfortunately. And that's really a weakness of the defense.
And the thing about Kincaid is he's like a tight end plus, because your typical tight ends don't have the burst after the catch, and he has that. So like an Evan Ingram can always have a huge game every so often because he's got the yak ability. And I think Kincaid has that. So now very quick, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Start or sit Gabe Davis now?
You got to show it to me. You've had two pseudo gooses You have to show it to me. Like, I hope I have a more consistent option. Again, this is probably the difference in our like world of how we view fantasy football. I would rather take a lower ceiling player in my lineup, but not a guy that I think is going to goose. Tampa Bay's defense as a unit overall is pretty good. This over under is not great, so it's kind of reflecting that. So like, okay, Kincaid is a great bet to take on some of those targets away from Diggs. Diggs is always going to eat because Diggs always eats. So basically with Gabe, you have to just hope that he's going to take the top off the defense. Against Winfield, I'm not so sure.
True. That's good analysis. Winfield is very good at playing that center field position. So, I think only other thing I'd ask, and I'll answer it myself. There's no need to start Baker. Nobody's on bye this week. You don't have to start Baker. Don't start Baker.
Don't do it. I'm a fan. I'm telling you, don't do it.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got next?
Well, I did want to ask one question. I know we spent a lot of time on this game. It's a little selfish because it's a solo game and it's the Bucs game. But Andrew, what's wrong with the Bills?
What's wrong with
they've had two really poor performances in a row, and it's not. And then Josh Allen looks like a scared puppy on the podium.
I just think that mainly it's one thing's bleeding into another. They are missing their defensive studs that are injured, and it's showing.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen is pressing to make up for it. That's what I think's happening. And he's going to rein it in this week. He's going to rein it in this week. They're going to win like 27-20. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I have the Bills too. I might take Bucs 8.5.
I'm actually.
I think they might cover.
It's 8.5 is the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me the Bucs to cover then. I think they will.
Is so that much my plan to be different? We'll figure something out. All right. Philly at Washington, 43.5 over under. Blah. 6.5 road favorites for the Birdos. Philly is such an easy fantasy offense to talk about. It's really not even worth talking about. Hurts, AJB, Swifty, and Goddard. We already know, right?
Yep.
However, as we said last week, when this passing offense is not humming, it's very hard for three separate pass catchers to eat. And right now, it looks like it's praise be Dallas Goedert, not praise be Devonta Smith. Are you still, if you're a Smith manager, is he just in your lineup for that variance all the time, or are you looking at higher floor options?
Well, like that's merely a question of what does your matchup look like Thursday night. If you have the fortune or misfortune, whatever it may be, to kind of get some insight, like whatever. Let's just say you're playing against Josh Allen.
Yeah, you play against the Bills stack and they went crazy for example.
And they got 70 points. Well, shoot, you better put in your highest upside players. And I think Devonta, it's hard to have other options that are going to be better. If I had Devonta on my team, I'd be starting him because he's always capable. And, maybe he's not as outward about it, but there's got to be a little bit of squeaky wheel stuff going on for him himself.
Yeah.
I'd be starting him.
And he hasn't necessarily killed you with these performances, but ever since the first 2 weeks, it's clear that AJB has retaken the clear number one. And everybody wanted to freak out about that.
Right.
All right. Washington side, the only must start that I have is Terry Mack. I don't think B-Rob is a must start anymore. You still can because he's the lead running back. But again, I refer you to week 7. This offense is way too spread out in terms of where they give touches.
Giants and Washington fans are the only ones that actually had the stomach to watch that game.
I did not, so please take it away.
Go look up the carry counts between Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez. They're probably going to surprise you how close they are. So
disgusting.
Yeah. So Brian Robinson, like I said, trade him now. I said that last week. You said to trade him after. I think, but either way is fine now because he did have the fortune of scoring a touchdown, the only touchdown for Washington. Trade Brian Robinson.
Timing in life is everything. Well, there was a time I was trying to time it out. I was doing a little pre-negotiation on JT last week. And we kind of put things on pause because I figured he would have a really bad game against Cleveland. He gets that big rip and a touchdown, and then it was game over. The manager clearly was not interested in having a conversation with me around it.
It's hard to trade with people who play the stock market like everybody on Wall Street Bets does. It's going up. Buy. It's going up.
To be fair, I think it's actually real in this case.
No, I think so.
But I was hoping I had one more week to finagle a bit.
Right.
I digress. You don't want to hear about my fantasy machinations. Let's pick this and kick it.
Yeah, man. Well, I really, really, really hate picking Philly. I really do. But I'm going to take Philly, and I think Philly's going to steamroll them, and they're going to win by like 2 touchdowns.
Yep, Philly cover. We're lockstep so far. Philly is just really good, even when they're not good. They're still really good.
They have so many ways to beat you, and then their defense is nasty, and they're going against one of ways to lose. They're going against one of quite possibly the worst O-line in football. The amount of sacks that.
Dude, oh my God, are we going to set a record? Are we on record watch?
I think so. Yeah, he might be. Sam Howell might be. So
it's going to be gross. It's going to be tough. All right. So New England winners last week against the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. I buried them for fantasy, but maybe it was a little premature to bury them in every other regard. So they're on the road at Miami. Vegas is still giving Miami a healthy 9.5 with a 47 over under.
Yep.
I think we both agree the must start for the Patriots, if there is a must start, is Ramondre. I think it's just kind of like a ipso facto of like how you really define what a must start is. But you can take your shot on Kenny Bourne if you're dangerous in the potential game script where they're going to have to keep up with Miami. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but that's something out there.
The Bourne confusion.
Yeah, exactly.
The Bourne inconsistency.
The Bourne sadness. Mm-hmm. Anything to talk about on New England side, or do you want to hop over to Miami?
New England, yeah. I can talk about. I think Ramondre's still a start. He's still getting most of the snaps. Miami's run defense is not great. He's getting involved in the passing game to give you a baseline. All their pass catchers, I don't want any bit of their pass catchers. Even Bourne, it's like he's a crapshoot kind of player. There's one player that is interesting. He's interesting. He's a radar guy. He was getting some hype in the preseason. He's a really quick, shifty guy. He's kind of like, without the idiotic personality, a little bit like Kadarius Toney. And that's Demario Douglas.
Mm.
He was getting on the field more last week. Juju was not playing. Maybe that's better for New England's offense, though, in all honesty. So he's a guy I would keep on your radar.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good call out. I mean, and they're going to have to find creative ways to make an offense work with Mac Jones' dusty ass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Miami, this is going to be interesting. Coming off of really what I thought was a barometer test for their team, and they failed. Yeah. They went up against one of the true big boys, and they weren't up to snuff. That defense wasn't up to snuff. They got kind of daddied when it came to the running game. They got pushed all the way to the end zone, which was
Pretty much.
pretty hilarious to watch.
I can't stand Nick Sirianni.
But let's debate that for a second, because take away the names, take away Philly. If New York was tush pushing on people and running all over them and making it look sloppy, you would like it probably.
No, yeah. My hatred for Sirianni is not the tush push. My hatred for Sirianni is his dumb face, his smug attitude, his antics on the sidelines. He's annoying.
He cries too much for a grown man. He has a crying face. It's a little off-putting, but I digress.
Yeah, I just do it in silence after I look at my matchups, but
Yeah, well, I relate to that shit this week. We know the must starts on Miami. It's always the same. Raheem and Reek. You can start Waddle and Tua. Obviously, I doubt that you have much better options, but I never necessarily think of a player as like a must start if they're not a one at their position. Waddle's limited with a back, but it looks like he'll be fine. He came back into the game. I guess the only thing that I really wanted to discuss for this game is, as a solo quarterback in a standard league, can we trust Tua coming off of a rough game in a division matchup?
I think as long as Tua has his two big weapons, you can trust him. It's just, he falls into the pocket passing category, and that means you need to have a big day passing for you to have a big day in fantasy. He doesn't have the rushing cheat code, and he never really did, but he especially doesn't now that he's very protective, and the team is very protective of him not getting his head smacked.
Is he a top 10 play?
Man, I wish I had done rankings. Let me come back to that question.
Okay.
I'm not sure yet.
Well, we're going to talk about the whole, we're going to talk about the whole slate of games. So I'll circle back on that one.
Yeah.
Look at me being such a corporate shill, saying circle back. Who the hell am I?
I know. What's the other good office terms?
Let's put a pin in that.
Put a pin. Oh, that's a good. Circle back. Put a pin.
We need to make sure that we're having office synergy.
Synergy is a big one. Yeah. Love it.
My life is so sad. I think it's Miami, and I think it's Miami to cover. What's up with you?
Give me New England to be able to. I really need to learn the term.
To beat 9.5. You're taking New England's points.
New England to beat the spread. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I'm gonna say New England loses by 6. Because I think they've started to found a little bit of how Billy got his groove back on offense. I think their offense is – they're maybe getting to an average level, they're not going to be good this year ever, but if they can just be a little bit closer to average.
Look, Sharps will tell you division games, more than 9 points, it's worth a sniff for sure. So I think that'll be interesting to find out. All right.
Are you documenting this, by the way?
I actually took this one down.
Okay, gotcha.
You're gonna need to remember the first one.
We agreed on the first
one. The battle for New York is next. Jets at quote unquote at the Giants.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
36.5. Home pick 'em.
Too many points. Too many points in this game.
Yeah, well, you're taking the under.
Take the under.
You're a sick man. Please no, not 35. It could be. This is going to be a good old fashioned 80s snot knocker. We know it's always Brees and G Willie. The Jets offense is pretty easy.
I don't think G Willie's a must start though. I think
not in this matchup though.
You got to go check out Deonte Banks. Just look up Deonte Banks PFF grades. The dude has been really freaking good. Knock on wood. Now, He's
I've
not going
heard
to.
the name. I haven't seen him much. Hand up.
He's not going to completely shut down Wilson. Wilson is too damn good. But in a low over/under game with just a very below average quarterback, Garrett Wilson's targets, he's going to have to hit on a big play. I think Garrett Wilson, he is a flex play right now.
He's been pretty consistently a low end receiver too this year.
Yeah.
But you're saying that he's going to drop down a tier into 3 territory.
I think that's where he is right now, man. I mean, the thing about Garrett Wilson is you can always play him because he can always break off a huge play. He's that talented. I'm going to play him in the league, but I am not expecting great things.
There's no like real bet or anything that can be made of this, but I think relative to that expectation, I think he has a fine game. I think he has a good game here.
I think if he gets you like 6 for 65, I would be okay with that. That's kind of where I'm at with him right now. Win this matchup.
Oh man. Okay. It's already bringing my mood down. Like we haven't even got to the Giants side of the ball. Saquon and Waller are absolutely startable options after Waller did get in the end zone. You requested it. Maybe it's kind of your fault. You didn't request it early enough in the year that you basically said you better get in the end zone or else, MFer. But he did. I guess after 2 games of like what looks like decently competent football, like should the Giants just let it ride with Tyrod?
There are a whole podcast about that one subject, so I don't want to go too far.
Give me the Reader's Digest.
The Reader's Digest, when for whatever reasons maybe, whether it's a should be, who cares about the money? When Daniel Jones is healthy, they will start him. That now.
So they've already come right out and said that.
Yeah, Dable has said when he's healthy, he's our starter.
Sigh.
I have liked what I've seen from Tyrod. Keep in mind that has also been paralleled with Saquon being back, and Danny didn't have that. This week, the Giants are hopeful that they're getting both Thomas and John Michael Schmitz, their first round or second round center, that has been their starting center, back. There's no other start though on this team. You do not want to start insert QB here. You do not want to start insert wide receiver here. You can take flyers on Hyatt because he's a deep, target. Wandale, they're getting okay. Let me explain this. The hodgepodge of 6 receivers is now gone.
Okay, so they're starting to consolidate.
Yes, they are going with a majority of Slayton, Hyatt, and Wandale now. Yep. Everybody else is pretty much like bench players, like occasional players. So even with that said, their passing offense is not consistent and is not explosive. Both of these defenses are in play this week.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, with this over under, I mean that's almost stealing money.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's pick it.
Go ahead.
I'm going to take the Jets, and it's because I just think that there is more talent on both sides of the ball on this team. I think both offenses are kind of bleh in general, but when you line up both rosters, I think the Jets not having to travel really, I think they take care of business. It is going to be a close game. It is going to be a gross game, so it can go either way. But I just trust the Jets more.
For sure. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with my Giants.
Hmm?
I'm gonna give you a score prediction.
Nice.
13-10. The Giants.
I have to take that down. That's amazing.
The Giants have been playing good defense. It was 3/4 of scoreless football against the Bills. And then it took a muffed punt from Sterling Shepard to give them a short field of 15.
It just got them going, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, so really, without that muffed punt, I don't know if Washington gets on the board. Their defense has been better. I'm not going to say they've been world beaters.
Well, this Jets offense is not a world beater either.
It's not. And Wink is our defense coordinator, if you don't know. That's his nickname.
Yep. Wink Martindale.
Wink Martindale, yeah. He is a pretty heavy blitzer. Zach Wilson has not responded well to the blitz. So I think they're going to look to run the ball a lot. I think Brees is going to get 25 carries. But on those third downs that will inevitably happen, there's going to be turnovers in this game. And the Giants, the last few weeks, have been much better about not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
They
have a journeyman, competent quarterback instead of just a known very bad quarterback.
Yeah. Okay. Do we need to talk about this 36.5 point over under game anymore? Or are we good?
No. That is more. I took too much time on my boys. I let you take more time on yours. That's fair. That's being fair. But it's time to move on, and we need to keep it moving here. Rams at Dallas, home favorites, 6.5, 45 over under. Rams. We talked about it earlier. The Puka show is not dead, so Kupp and Puka have now both elevated to must-start territory, and they may not both have big games at the same time, but they're going to be in your lineup. And you can absolutely start Rel Hendo until something else happens with this running back carousel.
I don't think you want to start Darrell Henderson. Do you know why? He got sent back to the practice squad.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You're saying after he led the team in snaps and was the most productive of the running backs, he's now back on the. So who are they starting then?
They might call him back up though. So I don't know, dude. It might be him again. I have no idea.
Wait, so we used to talk about Shanahanigans. Is this McVanigans?
I think so, dude. I mean, I have no idea. Is it Royce Freeman? Are they going to call Darrell Henderson back up? Is Zach going to get his? Zach Evans?
No, I'll tell you who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Zach Fab Blast 0 snaps Evan. That's who it's not going to fucking be. It's not going to be my $43 of lit on fire fucking Fab. That's who it's not going to be.
Well, you're talking to the guy who demerked him, who demerked himself with his Fab as well. So, yeah, I feel your pain, buddy. Big pain. Dude. So yes, those two receivers are starts. It's such a weird team because while Cooper Kupp and Puka are going off, getting a ton of yardage, Matt Stafford's not even throwing the touchdowns. So you're like, oh, well, if those two are great, then their quarterback's got to be doing really well. And he's not even doing that well because he's not throwing touchdowns. He's not a runner at all. So it's so funny. And then, yeah, it's like they get down there and then they run the ball in.
The Rams offense, very low key, of course got better when Kupp came. From a football perspective. There's no way you don't add it. There is no scenario where you add a Cooper Kupp and get worse. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because he's an amazing football player. But from a fantasy perspective, low key, this offense is not as good as it was. Because it used to be very simple. 3 amigos, 3 fantasy relevant players, cut and dry. Once you took that same 240 yards and 1.7 touchdowns and split them among 5 players, not as fun. Right. Not as fun for fantasy. So yes, that was a cold take. I did not know that about Rel. He could end up leading the backfield, but the same way that I got duped, I'm not so sure that you out there want to get duped. So proceed with caution. And fuck Thursday Night Football. That is all.
So yeah. Good luck playing your running back roulette there. That's it. I wouldn't want to be starting Stafford.
If I'm registering an opinion here, Andrew, I still think it probably ends up being Rel that leads the committee, but it's still a committee. I still do believe that because he's been successful-ish in this offense. But yeah, it's going to be a committee.
Yeah. Dallas, Pollard, CD, of course. Jake Ferguson in play at all for you? Tight end leagues?
He's always in play because tight ends are all terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Would you rather have Don Kincaid in your lineup?
Yes,
or
100%.
Would you rather have
Josh Allen throwing passes?
True. David Njoku?
You know what? Give me Fergie because the whole Deshaun phantom shoulder whatever type of situation is happening over there. That depresses the pass catchers there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the Dallas side, that's really it. I think that their secondary receivers are kind of just bleh. Not worth putting in a lineup.
No, I mean it's CD and Tony for me. Take a shot on Fergie if you're feeling Fergalicious, but I'm personally not.
Somebody is going to start Dak against me this week, and I actually think it's a good pickup. He's got Brock Purdy, and he's got Justin Fields. Justin Fields most likely not playing. So he picked up Dak, and I said, okay, that kind of makes sense because the Rams have been pretty bad against the pass this season.
Yeah, they're a young defense outside of Aaron Donald. They still have an unearned reputation from 2020. But yeah, they're not great. I don't love starting Dak because I know how low the ceiling is. But he's a streamer. He's always in play as a streamer. And of course, this could be the week that he actually tosses 3 touchdowns, and you'll be very upset. I've got Dallas. But are they going to cover though? That's the thing. 6.5 is tough.
I think, yeah.
I think they win outright. I don't think they cover.
I think the same thing. I think it's going to end up being a close game. They also are also part of my fantasy sadness, as you see, Poo-Poo the sad clown over here. I picked up and started Brett Maher. They cut him after that game last week. I'm sorry, Brett. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Oh man, I've had Brett Maher. I've had the Maher experience as well on my teams. Bad stuff. We need to start flying through these games. This is already shaping up to be a long one. So Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. Jax is road favorites, but only by 2 points. 42 over under. These over unders, man, I swear. Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne are must starts. Pretty much always. Yeah. Now. Kirk has gotten crazy steady volume.
Has Rashid Shaheed?
Damn it! I literally stopped myself from making that joke because I was like, no, it's too much. We dunked already last week, but you got me. No, he is not. Imagine that.
So for context of people who don't know, that was a trade after week 1 in one of our leagues. Was straight up Kirk for Shaheed.
Panic trade.
and that manager finally just dropped Shaheed. So
Finally accepted the truth.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
pretty rough there.
But Andrew, I put it to you: what is worse, trading away Christian Kirk after a goose, or drafting Calvin Ridley to get almost goosed many weeks in a row?
I think it's worse to trade away a player that. It's fine if you trade away a player that does well. If you've got somebody back that's doing well, that's
Yeah.
fine. But the true pain is when you trade somebody or drop them.
And you know what? I fear that pain.
We all do, but risk is part of the game. And yeah, Calvin is a lot more Gabe Davis than Stephon Diggs. I think that's what people wanted to believe going into the season. And we talked about it all offseason, how much we don't trust that Calvin is going to be a true alpha. And I don't think he is. I don't. I think that he has helped the Jags.
Kind of open up their game a little bit. Yeah.
He can have big games. So can Gabe Davis.
I think we just need to talk about the fact that Christian Kirk is just the better receiver.
Yes.
At this point in their careers.
And I think he fits the style more of Lawrence. And Lawrence is kind of that like intermediate kind of passer where he's really, really good at that. And I've seen Trevor miss a lot of deep shots, which is more common for all quarterbacks. It's a harder throw to make.
I think this has been a weird debate, or not a debate, but this has been a weird perception that I kind of have noticed. I think people that really are more casual watching the games, like I think you just see Trev, you see the sunshine hair, you see the height, you see the body. I think the assumption is like, oh yeah, he's a down the field freaking chicks live big long ball type of guy. Like, but he's just really not. That's not really his style. He's more of a West Coast quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Or at least not that that's really all they play or whatever, but just that kind of style of the quick hitters.
Definitely. I mean, you see the Jags offense, and it's like a zone run game mixed with a West Coast style where they get a lot of crossers, and that's why Evan Ingram is valuable too. You can always start Evan Ingram. He just has to take a freaking crossing route with good timing on the pass, and he can get you 25-yard play and maybe score.
Is Trevor going to be a quarterback one this year, or do we need to reset our expectations into streamer territory for him?
I don't think he's ever a streamer. I wouldn't be letting Trevor Lawrence be on the waiver wire.
He's not throwing enough touchdowns to really be up there with the big boys right now.
I think you're going to start to see it kind of come back to the mean a little bit. ETN's pace is incredible, and it won't stay that incredible. Excuse me. ETN, let's really look. I'll look it up real quick. I know who's on everybody's team, so I just look it up on here real fast. Because we have one person on our team who's a mega Jags fan, so he has them.
Oh yeah.
And maybe I'm saying this for my own safety, but I mean the dude's got 3 straight games of 2 touchdowns. So he's got 7 touchdowns in 7 games.
Yeah, so you're saying it's very unlikely he finishes the year with 21 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean he's been the RB 1, 2, and 4. And Pittsburgh, he's got a fine matchup. Pittsburgh, their defense struggles a little bit on the run against them. But
so you don't think it's anything about Lawrence. You just think that the touchdown luck is going to even out.
Yeah, and I also think Trevor Lawrence I want to see him do it more where he uses his legs because he's pretty solid at it, Yeah. I want to see him open up that part of his game a little bit more and say like, hey, I got a lane, let me take it. And when he takes it, it's like he's got enough speed. He picks up first downs. Yeah, I do think that Trevor Lawrence will be fine. He's just, like you said, the touchdowns aren't going his direction. I think they're going to start to kind of even out a little bit more.
Okay. Well, I appreciate taking time on that debate, but we've probably burned up our time for this matchup. So I will wrap Pittsburgh all together in a bow and ask one question together. So we finally did have a usable Najee game with a touchdown. Jaylen Warren went like a almost perfect 50-50 split with him. Deontay Johnson's back healthy. Now that we have proliferated the touch options in this offense, is anybody a must start or B a reliable fantasy option?
No, there's no reliable fantasy option. I think your most reliable is Pickens right now. Well, and Najee. Najee's reliable. He's just reliably bleh. So if you feel you need 7 to 9 points, start him.
He's the king of that kind of player. It's like, well, yeah, if you only need 8 points, he'll get you 8 points. If you need 18, he'll get you 8 points.
Get you 8 points, yeah. So there's nobody that's a must start to me on their offense now.
Yeah. Sadness, and yet, they still have a winning record. So to that point, Mike Tomlin, we're not worthy. I do not understand how he gets this trash team to winning records every year. I don't understand it. They have not had an exciting offense in the last 5 years. It's probably been, I don't know how long it's been.
When did
but
Antonio
like 5
Brown
years
leave?
is an eternity in football.
Well, when did Antonio Brown leave?
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. I guess defense and black Air Force Ones win championships.
Yeah.
Let's pick this game. Andrew.
I'm going Jags in this game. And I think that with it only being 2 points, give me the Jags to beat the spread there. I think the Jags are going to have themselves a solid game, and their defense for the Jaguars, I think they're going to do a good job this week, and they're going to keep them to like 17 or something. So give me like a 23-17 Jaguars.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you. I've got Jacksonville. I've been fading Pittsburgh the whole season. I've been wrong the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to keep following the process that I just don't think that they can reliably score enough points. And realistically, I just think Jacksonville's for real. I think that for a lot of last season, they were a fun team, an exciting team, but I think they've added pieces, and I think they've grown in maturity in terms of what they want to do, and I think they're a legit team now. So that one's going to be a wash one way or another, I guess. Minnesota at Green Bay in the frozen north. 43.5 over-under. Perfect pick 'em. TJ Hawkinson is always a must-start, of course. But we have a new challenger for the must-start. Addison. Wow.
Yeah.
He was electric, man. And you know, you and I both talked about the fact that like all this kid needed was an opportunity, and he did not disappoint with that opportunity.
Yeah. Addison is, to me, he's a must start. He's the number one right now with Jefferson on the shelf. And this is the time of the season roundabout. He already showed flashes, but this is where you see where the rookie wide receivers are really starting to come on. And especially a first round one that's thrust into the wide receiver one spot. Yeah. I mean, with the offense that has to rely on the pass because their running game sucks.
Yeah. With
a pretty darn good passing quarterback. Yes. Everything checks the boxes that Addison.
Volume, opportunity, talent, check.
Yeah. You got to start Addison.
Remember those like dumb reports that were coming out when Justin Jay went down, and it was like, oh, well, KJ Osborne, really fits a little bit better into the role that Justin Jefferson was playing, but he's a guy. He was just a guy. He's now a glorified possession receiver.
We have to keep in mind that a lot of people who report on football don't know ball.
Right.
It's pretty simple, man. When you've got
the most talented player,
when you have a guy with like explosive talent and then a guy who's a jag, I don't care what your system says. You start drawing up the plays for the talented guy because he's the one that's going to help you score points at a lot more inconsistent clip than the other guy. Okay,
right.
It's that simple. When Travis Kelce goes out, you don't start saying Noah Gray is going to be a freak, just fill in that role. No, Mahomes struggled without him because he doesn't have any other reliable people. Well, at least Kirk has a very reliable receiver in Addison.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reality of, what happens in a lot of football games is it's not played in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what people, don't really when they're just box score hunting, they don't kind of realize 5 out of those 6 catches were whatever.
Yeah.
It was that one catch where you made your defender look like a fool and took it to the house. That's usually where fantasy days are made, particularly for receivers. And a lot of guys just don't have the ability to do that. Not everybody can be a Jamar Chase. But I digress. Wrapping it up on the Minnesota side, you can always throw Kirk in there.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we've kind of noticed, and it's something we've been worried about, but it kind of reared its ugly head this week. Akers had 13 touches.
Yeah.
He wasn't amazing with them, but neither really was Madison. So, man, are we headed to an RBBC here?
No, we're not headed. It already is. It's here. It's annoying. It sucks. Honestly, we're at the point where just fade Madison and Akers if you can, because it's a bad running game. They're just not good at running the ball.
Right.
They don't have a single rushing touchdown on the year.
Yeah.
You see that they've tried to pound their running backs, mostly Madison, at the goal line a few times, and it just gets stuffed because their O-line just can't make a hole. You're really asking for trouble starting those guys. I think. Can you still start Madison? Sure. But you'd be happy if you even get to double digits.
Only if you're desperate at this point, because that's the problem. And you see this happen with fantasy football all the time. Every time, a new a challenger approaches to the running back room, right? He gets picked up. Oh, this guy, the Jalen Warrens of the world. Not that I'm saying Jalen Warren's a bad player, but here's the problem. Very, very few times do you get Cam Akers. Do you get completely pushed out of the team altogether? Yeah. What usually happens is we always think, oh, this is the guy that's going to take over. This guy's going to take over. No, what's probably going to happen is they're going to end up 50-50ing it, and no one is the answer. You're thinking player B is the answer, player A is the answer is nobody.
And that's the kind of backfield where a lot of backfields are going in that direction, but that's when you need a good running game. That's why Miami had Devon Achane and Mostert having great games at the same time.
They were doing something with it too. Yeah. When a guy's only going 3 yards a clip, you need 30 carries to make that work. If he's going 6 yards a clip, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Green Bay. You must start AJ even after a tough week with the hammy. But he's obviously the most talented player in that. And team.
Green Bay needs him to get involved if they want their offense to ever start really going.
Yeah, no doubt. J Love has had an inefficient 180 and kind of spread it around amongst pass catchers. Dobbs and Reed both got in the end zone, but I mean, with this passing game, I can't really fully plant my flag or trust anybody right now. What happened to Christian Watson, man? That's been one of the low key bummers on the season. He was super exciting back half of last year. Coming into this season, another year in the league, another year of potentially developing. he had the hammy early, he had some other stuff going on, and now that he's back and he's healthy, it looks like he's been kind of a non-factor through a couple of weeks. So, what are we doing with Watson?
To me, Watson's still a flex guy. Let me check his snap counts real quick. He did get a little banged up at the end of the game, but it was like the very end of the game. Like there was like 2 plays left or something like that. So let's see. Christian Watson. Where are you, my friend? Right here. So 88% snap count. He's a full-time player. I would feel like he's a flex guy. The team needs to get more explosive plays if they're gonna be in games. Him and Aaron Jones are your best candidates to be explosive on this team. Romeo Doubs is also like has rapport. He had like one bad game mixed in a lot of consistent games. I would be putting Doubs in my lineups if I had Doubs.
Yeah, the Minnesota matchup, the relatively high over under. No.
Yeah.
No. I'm just not excited, I should say. I'm not excited about any of those guys, and especially since it's not really consolidated.
Packers are going to be fine in this game. Minnesota had a good game against a Trent Williams-less 49ers team. The 49ers had an off night. Their defense is not elite all of a sudden. Brock Purdy threw them 2 picks.
Yeah.
McCaffrey fumbled. Like, they won the turnover battle, which was huge. And they only won by 5. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't really remember, but I don't think that Minnesota had a turnover in the game. They might have had 1. I'm not sure exactly. Point being,
I only remember the one, but yeah, I mean it was. I'm not going to say it was a fluky game, but it was a bad game from San Francisco, tied to some explosive plays from the Minnesota side. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good matchup. I don't have a lot of confidence in Love.
Yeah, but they did have 1 turnover, by the way, because it was the pick that was like that got ripped away from Addison. They did have the 1.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think Dobbs is the most consistent guy. If I'm starting anybody, probably it's him.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting AJ for sure, and then the receivers are canned starts, not must starts.
I've got Minnesota here. I think Green Bay continues the sadness. I don't think they're a very good football team, and I think they're just sloppy. That's been the most. That's been the worst thing for me watching them. Is not like I expected there to be a drop off on quarterback play. I expected maybe their weapons aren't so great, whatever. But dude, like the penalties, running the wrong routes, like having a tight end and a receiver running the same route in the same formation. Like it's just watching these things, it's tough. And I don't know that just gets better like 1 week to the next. Coming off a bye week when you're supposed to be right.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm going Minnesota in this game.
All right. Houston at Carolina. Road favorites.
There you go, Houston. Coming alive.
The must start for me on Houston is Uncle Nico. Now this is a split backfield, another one of these sad split backfields. Devin is taking away more work. Not that he's been a world beater with it, but Dane Pierce has just not been effective this year. It's just I'm just not sure it's going to happen for him. I'm staying away from that. But good news, Tank's back.
Yeah, Tankalicious, the War laptop. That's I'm happy to see him back, and this could be a decent game for him. Carolina's not exactly the best defense. They give up a lot of big plays. So, yeah, I mean he's a flex guy.
Yeah, I think he's in play. I think he's a receiver 3. And look, I think Carolina's going to keep doing what they were doing. Or I said Carolina. I think Houston's going to keep doing what they're doing. A lot of passing. I actually like the over in this game. I think both of these defenses leave a lot to be desired. And I am actually interested to see the battle of first-round quarterbacks here, although one is clearly winning so far. I just think there might be a little extra juice, a little extra motivation. We're hooked on a Thielen in Carolina. That is the absolute only must start. Another split backfield that's even worse.
Yeah.
In Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina's pretty much, in a game like this, Houston they're still not a good run defense. I would say you can flex either guy, being Miles or Chuba. Just not a fun time. Not a fun time to be in that position.
Look, again, desperate times call for desperate measures, but I will say this. Even yes, Houston would be the matchup to do it. I would probably lean more Chuba than I would lean Miles, but I looked it up before we hopped on here. Games where they've both played have been single digits and not much more than that. So just don't have a lot of expectations if you're in the mud and the mire. Let's move on. Pick this Garbaccio. Who you got?
Carolina's getting that first win, man.
Woo! I like it.
Coming out the bye. So is Houston, but they're at home. And I just think, it's just about time that they get their first win.
You know what? I'm not even sure I'm that convicted on this, but we just need to be different on some takes. I'm going with Houston. I think Carolina keeps working on making the Bears pick better.
Yeah, that could. Can you be better than the first overall pick? I don't know.
Well, they're just going to keep staying on the inside track and dominating,
solidifying,
running up the score on that number 1 overall pick. But
I'm with you. I'm with you on the over. I think this game is going to get to like a cool 50.
Yeah, no, I think we get some sneaky fantasy points in here.
Yeah.
All righty, Atlanta road favorites barely at Tennessee, 36.5, 36.5.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Love you, Arthur Smith. I want to slit your fucking throat. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, recorded. Hey.
I that was this right here was like me putting on a tie for him.
Yes, yeah.
So
you're helping him tie his tie, shave his neck.
When he wins Coach of the Year, he wins Coach of the Year.
So Bijan, in theory, is a must start, assuming that he's feeling well. I'm sorry to keep dancing on that.
I got a Pepto Bijan last week.
Freaking asshole, man. You can always start Drake and Kyle Pitts, especially against a bad Tennessee passing game.
It's crazy that we say that now because like early in the season it was like you can't start.
No, you could not start them. Now, like, dude, Pitts he's still a part-time player. It's still kind of frustrating, but yes, you can start them because they are passing the ball more, even if it's not very, very effective.
Yeah.
On the Tennessee side, you have to start Derrick Henry. You don't have to feel very confident about it, but you kind of do have to start him. You can start Nuke Hopkins, but there's no Tannabust in this game. And I put the question to you, Andrew. What do you call a bad quarterback's backup?
You call it Jetsing?
Yeah. You're Jetsing.
You're
Jetsby Jetson.
You're a historical. You're Browning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it wrong. Well, no, historically, my ass. The Browns are doing that right now.
Right. True. They're doing that. Yeah. Tennessee.
Yeah, it gets even worse. A bad offense gets even worse.
Yeah. So like you already said, the Atlanta side. It's just Atlanta. Or sorry, Tennessee has a very good run defense. You still got to start Bijan. You hope that Bijan can break off a big play and be in the passing game, right? Excuse me, and not be sick, like I kind of am a little bit right now. I would have played through it.
I think Bijan gave it to you. Gave you the illness, gave you the icks.
Maybe, but yeah. So Bijan, Pitts, Drake, got it. I wouldn't start Algier in this game. I think he's going to get stuffed. Tennessee side, I don't want to start anybody. I'm like worried about Derrick Henry. Reason being is, you good?
Yeah. we almost had a lighting disaster here, but continue.
Gotcha. Derrick Henry, what scares me about this, and this could just be kind of like fan theories and whatnot, but if they just traded away Kevin Byard,
yeah.
So if they're starting,
we're on trade watch. We're on trade watch.
It's trade watch, and that would mean that they're not going to risk him getting injured. We haven't heard anything like that yet come out. We're recording on Wednesday night. I'd be a little bit worried about him, and also the production just hasn't been there. So, do you have any interest in starting Tajay, or is he still just an insurance piece for you?
I mean, I'm the only way that I'm interested in starting Tajay is if they do trade Derrick Henry, then it's a smash.
Mm-hmm.
But what the nightmare scenario is, Derrick Henry is a ghost 2 plays an out guy. That wouldn't feel great. But I'm not, dude. I don't want to start anybody on the Tennessee side. I have to, but I don't want to start anybody. I mean, Tannehill couldn't get it done. I have no confidence. But Vrabel won't even pick a starter. He's talking about like, like Will is gonna mix in and Malik's gonna mix in, and it's gonna be mixing the pot of a lot of bad fucking throws. Yeah. I don't want to talk about this game anymore, man.
It's bad vibes. Please? Yeah. Just give me Atlanta.
Yeah, give me Atlanta too. New Orleans at Indianapolis. A pick 'em, pure pick 'em at home. 43.5.
Yeah.
I in my notes is actually kind of a funny side thing. I thought that I was saying there's no must starts in this game, and I was like, what the hell? But that's New Orleans must starts. Yeah. Olave and AK, obviously, you got to get them in there. And now the return of true tight end Taysom Hill.
My favorite player in the league.
Well, your favorite new weapon on your team that I saw you picked up. You freaking hypocrite.
I did. I picked up Taysom Hill because 2 reasons. 1, I'm a hypocrite, and 2, because he actually is getting involved in more than just like wildcat. I guess, would you even call it that? QB draws, I guess you'd call it. He's catching the ball a bit, and honestly, he kind of just feels like that. The real engine of the offense, it's Dude, so funny, but like it feels that way.
I didn't have any fab for him, but if I did have fab for him, it would have been a full fab send, and I'll tell you why. Because tight end is such a fucking wasteland. The fact that Taysom Hill is catching a few passes, which is like, okay, it's whatever. Every tight end catches passes. He'll get like 4 for 35, whatever. That's not the thing. The wildcat formations and the goal line rushes.
Yeah. That's huge.
He's a top 5 tight end rest of the season.
If they continue, which I don't see why they wouldn't, their offense is struggling, to use him in this way where he's like on the field for half the snaps and he's catching a few passes and running in the goal line, like, yeah. I mean,
where was this the first 4 weeks of the season when I was streaming tight ends and looking for a tight end, Andrew? Where was this?
the Saints wanted to, I guess, commit to just traditional offense, and then I don't know, it was weird. They didn't have Kamara, and now the whole offense that works for them is dump off to Kamara and let Taysom Hill do some crazy shit.
I think it's debatable to say that it works for them when their offense is still pretty poopy, but like that's, I guess, just the Saints' way.
It gives their offense a chance, put it that way.
Yeah. Speaking of their poopy offense, Olave was arrested for going too fast on Monday, which I thought was ironic because if he would have stopped, like he stopped on the route on his potential bomb touchdown last week, maybe we wouldn't be talking about this. But my terrible attempt at humor aside, the optics of that did not look great. He does not look like he's on the same page with Derek Carr at all. And I'll be honest with you, being very cursory watching the Saints before this and not watching a full game sitting down start to finish, I don't know if it's all on Carr. I was putting it all on Carr. I don't know that it is. That route was bad. That was bad vibe.
I don't want to overanalyze that for fantasy. Like, Olave is still the top receiver there, and he's capable of big plays. You got to start him. But I also know that you can get a quarterback and a receiver can get on the same page pretty fast. It's not like taking years and years. They go and they work on this stuff this week, they'll be fine.
I hope so. I hope they took the pseudo bye as an opportunity to do that because he's been okay. He has had a decent floor, but he has not had a ceiling, and we drafted him for ceiling.
For sure, yeah.
All right, Indy.
Mike Thomas is still startable.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
He's don't want to talk about floor. He's an ultimate floor play, but he'll give you something. 8 or 9.
You're right. I missed on that. Indy, you got to start JT. You have to start Pitt. You can always start Josh Downs now. Josh Downs' role is secure in the offense. Yep. He is the possession receiver.
Yeah.
And he's actually made some big plays happen. He ripped a fat tud. In that game. So
broken coverage makes players look better than they are, but yes, nonetheless, he got the target and he
I would say he's a floor play with some upside. If Michael Thomas is that floor play guy, I think he's a floor play with some upside.
Yeah, he's not going to goose you goose you. That's true. Yeah.
Well, Indy is coming off of a tough loss at home where I thought was total bullshit, FYI.
Oh, yeah. Refs.
But it actually looks like when I'm not there to see it live, they're capable of running a competent offense. So that's interesting. I'm happy to see that. Is there anything more to talk about in this game, or do we just pick it?
I'll pick it.
All right. You go first.
I got to go Saints, man. I got to go Saints. And it's one reason. They have a solid defense. Minshew's turnovers are going to become the problem.
Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a homer again, and it's probably going to fucking burn me again, but the Indy is going to win at home, and I think it's going to come from the fact that yes, Minshew does not play an amazing game, but I think New Orleans offense is also booty base, and I think we end up with a sneaky over, and I think that Indy closes out the close game this time instead of losing the close game.
That should be – it's definitely an interesting game. It's very intriguing because we got a lot of question marks all over the field.
Yeah. intriguing, but like in the way that a car crash is often intriguing.
Pretty much.
Cleveland on the road.
Cleveland versus Seattle. Yep.
At Seattle. I mean,
Yeah.
-3 for a home team's kind of a pick 'em, especially when you're talking about the 12th man. Disgusting over under 39.5.
Love it.
Well, with no Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt's a must start.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of I don't know if fear is the word, but like
little trepidation around that. Pierre Strong.
Yeah, a little bit of hesitation because I mean Pierre Strong has had a few flashes in his career. I don't think he's going to take over for Kareem, but I just think that they don't view Kareem Hunt as a full-time player ever. I don't think they've ever seen him that way. So Pierre Strong will be involved enough, and you're hoping for the rushing touchdown to go to whoever you started. I assume most of it you are going to start Kareem, and Pierre Strong has been picked up as just in case. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to start Kareem Hunt. I kind of have no chance now. No choice. I traded away Aaron Jones, who was my other running back, and along with Bijan. Yeah, I'm going to hope for a touchdown there. And yeah.
Zay Flowers keeps getting passed around our league like another kind of flower, but I digress. That's interesting. I don't know if Deshaun's ever going to take this passing game to the next level, man. Obviously, it won't be this week because he's not playing again, rehabbing that same shoulder. But I think that's the problem with Amari Cooper. You can't always start him. He's an alpha receiver. You don't get very many alpha receivers in this game. You only get a maximum of 30, but not every team is going to have one. So you kind of always can throw him in a lineup, but until this passing game's figured out, I'm just skeptical. I'm skeptical on the whole thing. I don't know where you're at with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of just hoping that Amari can like consistently beat his matchup, and then PJ Walker or insert QB name here is on the same page, which it doesn't happen all that often. You know, his targets are just he doesn't get good targets right now. So he has to work so hard to get these catches, you know? And it's not,
I mean, you see how much they run the ball, right? And so, you're talking about splitting a passing pie of, less than 200 yards, 180 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And typically their touchdowns are coming through the running game.
Yeah.
And their defense is so dominant that they can play that game. They can play that like churn it out kind of game and let their defense make plays. So yeah, I mean, Amari is like a low end 2, and Kareem is like a RB2, and that's really all I'm starting on the Cleveland side.
Agreed. Seattle.
Yeah.
Walker and DK. DK's banged up with a hip, but it looks like he's going to play. He practiced today.
Yeah.
So obviously, if he's in your lineup. Those are the must starts. Andrew, a rookie Seattle receiver finally broke out for us. Jake Bobo.
Jake Bobo, dude. Jake Bobo. Love it. Love it. Yeah. It's funny because
really, in seriousness, JSN had a big game too, so he did actually break out. I just
they both had good games, and it's like the question for me. So we'll take all 4 receivers there: DK, Lockett, Bobo, JSN. I wonder how Seattle is going to order them going forward. Like, DK is going to be number 1, but I'm wondering if they're really going to. We just said it about Addison before. This is around the time, week 8 through 10, roughly, where you start seeing these rookie receivers come on, especially first round ones, unless your name is Quentin Johnston.
Yeah,
because
unless you're just not good at football,
not very good at the game. But are they going to start really featuring him more in the offense? That'd be my question. I don't know, because Lockett has been very underwhelming.
And his usage is declining. I looked it up prior here. Like, I think so. We talked about this in the preseason too, and I know that you and I were more bullish on Tyler Lockett, especially early in the season.
Yeah,
but we were kind of bullish on Tyler Lockett season long. But it smells like the Lockett to JSN transition could be happening a little faster than we thought. Like, for God's sakes, I mean, Lockett's 30 years old. Like, he's already like way exceeded, what anybody could expect from a high level NFL career. So yeah, like if he's out there on the trade market, if he's still somehow out there on your waivers, I doubt it at this point. He's a guy that you probably are 1 week too late on at this point, but I think it's time. I think it's
JSN season loading.
Yeah.
I think so too. Especially because the role that he plays, I think it's going to fit in very well with DK and Tyler on the outside, and have him be that target vacuum on the inside. Like, you can get a Amon-Ra light. The only thing is Amon-Ra has to be a bigger portion of the pie.
Yes, exactly. And we'll talk about that, because there's been an underwhelming option there too. Cool. Freaking yeah. Let's pick this game. We're the king of the long form content.
Yeah. You got this one first.
Alrighty. I think it's Seattle. I think Cleveland really needs their quarterback in this one. They apparently haven't needed their quarterback all the time because they have a winning record. But I think it's too much on the road. I think Seattle, it's going to be hard for them to score, but I think it's going to be harder for Cleveland to score. So I think that it's a low game. I might even take an even grosser under here. But I think Seattle takes it.
I'm with you. I got to go Seattle, man. I think it's going to be like a 20 to 16 kind of game. 20, if that 19 to. It's not a game that I'm super excited about, but
the kind of football that only your drunk uncle likes.
Yeah, I got to take Seattle at home in this one.
That's how it used to be in the 80s.
You scored 20.
That's when I was getting the ladies too. All right. KC at Denver. We just did this already, didn't we?
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. They played.
So KC road favorites by 8. Kind of tells you everything you need to know there. 46 over under. KC, Patty, Isaiah, Travis, usual suspects. We gave you permission last week. You still have permission. Rashee Rice is still in play. He's still a go.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to keep ascending. He can only ascend so high because Travis Kelce is a vacuum, but he's clearly the only receiver that's worth a fuck in this offense, quite frankly.
So I think we're starting to see your new favorite word of consolidation happen.
Yes.
In Kansas City, which is great for fantasy. It seems like the coaching staff, and the third time this podcast I'm going to say it, rookie starting to ascend, highly drafted rookie starting to ascend mid-season. It seems like their coaching staff is finally saying, or whatever, or Rashee's developing to a point where they trust him, and Mahomes is trusting him enough. So it should break down to the fantasy points pretty much being Mahomes, of course. Pacheco is starting to get even more of the passing work. Of course, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. And Rashee Rice. Where everybody else is just kind of a ancillary piece. And boy, you want to talk about icy take? Fuck you, Sky Moore.
Yeah, man. It's crazy because I don't know, man. Like, I just thought I'm not going to pretend that I knew much about Sky Moore coming into the league. Like, of course, I kind of read through the measurables and try to familiarize myself with the prospect a little bit coming in. I was like, okay, kind of a raw guy, like, but I'm sure they'll figure out how to use him. They must have a plan. They've got a plan. Well, I'm sure they had a plan. It just didn't work.
Yeah. And then how I felt about Kadarius Toney, and he's just kind of a whatever. Anyways, we don't need to say much about that. It does seem like with this consolidation, Kansas City is starting to put the best product for themselves on the field.
It feels like they're finally unlocked. It feels like last week it was like, oh, wipe your glasses off. There you are, KC.
Right. Yep.
So yeah. Hopefully not too late for some of us. Denver side, there are no must starts on Denver, but Javonte looked better. He looked better.
Yeah,
he got over 50% of the snaps finally.
He's looking a little better.
So some promising vibes. Probably too late for your teams, as well. But he's ascending a bit.
Yeah, and I gotta say the consistency though that Courtland Sutton has been able to have. He kind of gets overlooked because people are talking about a few things. Russell Wilson sucks.
Yep.
The Broncos suck.
Jerry Jeudy's about to be traded.
Jerry Jeudy's an asshole. Whatever. I don't want to say he's an asshole, but like I just said it. But I'm saying people are talking about that. I don't think
he's been a disappointing receiver this season. I think is more fair to say.
Just whatever Steve Smith said that. And Courtland Sutton's kind of flying under the radar as a guy that's been really trusted by
a bunch of touchdowns.
And that's what I want to talk about. The most unsustainable stat is the one that he's getting right now, which I think is making his fantasy numbers look solid, but he's still like somebody you can't trust. It's weird.
You can't really trust anybody on this team, but like you can start Courtland Sutton because he's the only one that is really getting red zone.
Yeah.
Like your consistent red zone looks. I mean, look, 5 touchdowns, that ain't gonna happen, right? I'm looking at the stats right now. Yeah, the yards per target has bounced around all over the place, kind of shows some inconsistency in the offensive plan. He has not cracked 100 receiving yards on the year. You can start him. He's the only guy that you can take a sniff at on this offense. But yeah, that touchdown regression.
Yeah.
She coming. Oh Lord, she coming.
Him and Javonte are the only ones that I'd be willing to throw into a flex.
Yep. So can we pick this fucker or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Kansas City, and they're gonna beat the spread.
I'm gonna pick that. No, I'm not. I'm picking Kansas City. I was bold last week with the Minnesota take, but I'm not that bold. I got KC and I got them covering. They are going to go remind Denver who their daddy is.
Absolutely, they're gonna spank their ass for sure.
Baltimore at AZ, road favorites, 8 points, 44 over under. We know the must starts on Baltimore very well by now. Lamar, Marky Mark, the man, the myth, the legend.
Mandrews.
Zay Flowers, always in now.
Yep.
And, like, you can start Gus Edwards in a pinch. We kind of did this weird thing where, like, everybody ran to the Gus bus, hopped on the Gus bus. It got a flat tire. Everybody jumped off, went to the Justice Hill train, and that just disappeared. So, like, everybody's back in on Gus now.
Which means Justice Hill is going to have a game.
Right. That's exactly it. You took the take right out of my mouth. Yeah, 100%. I would say you can start Gus, but it's a running back by committee. We know what it is.
Can I sing an impromptu song here?
Please.
Hop off the bus, Gus. Make a new plan, Mark. That's it. Don't start Rave and Run, Max, and get yourself free. You ever hear that song? 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. It's 50 ways to get screwed over in fantasy. Yeah.
For those of you listening at home, Andrew has the music taste of a twice divorced 55-year-old dad.
Hey, I listen to synthwave, okay?
Oh, that's right. So it's like so you bounce back and forth between like the divorced dad rock and waifu energy.
And like a pure zoomer.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I love that balance. We're in a world of balance. Getting back to the football here, Zona, the only must start for me is Hollywood. Everybody else,
yeah. Like, I'll just say, like, their running backs are confusing now. It's hard to want to pick anybody from there. I guess you can start DeMarcado if you need to, but just keep the radar now with Wilson, because Michael Wilson, we're hoping that we get to see Kyler Murray come back and elevate this offense.
Yeah, that's the hope for everybody, including Hollywood. And somebody that you can definitely grab if you're tight end desperate, like moi. There's no more Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
So it could be Trey McBride's season.
For sure. And, this is his second year.
The formula.
The tight end in Arizona has been pretty productive, that position. So absolutely keep him on your radar, throw him on the end of your bench. If you've got bye weeks coming up for a tight end, like I have Sam Laporta in a league and he's going on bye after this week. That's why I picked up Taysom Hill. And one of the reasons, also because he's probably the best player in the NFL. So I had to have him. But yeah, he's worth it. He's worth a stash, I'd say.
For sure. We ready to pick this
Baltimore thing? By a lot.
I have Baltimore. Just to be different, Andrew, I'm gonna take Baltimore to win. I'm gonna take Zona to beat the 8 points. I'm gonna take the points.
Okay, I'm not.
All right. Just a quick note there.
Cincy at San Fran.
Yep.
Man, San Fran's been sputtering a bit. Interesting game here. You got two supposed to be good offenses. That last few weeks that haven't been good.
Well, Cincy really hasn't been good except for one game against Zona all flipping year. So they better get their asses right.
I hope that the bye week and this, tough matchup, but you hope that their offense can be better. Like, okay, so the must starts, I think they're all there for Cincy. I think T. Higgins is ready to start being good. I think it's time. I think it's time for
I hope so.
Yeah. I do. That's really it on that side, to be honest, though. It's just a matter of how much upside do they have this week.
Are you starting Joey B against a bad matchup?
Oh man. If I drafted him, I'm probably just starting him, honestly. I got to take his upside of I know he can throw 3 touchdowns in any given week.
I've noticed this about you and I from just doing this for these 8 weeks and picking all these matchups. Your philosophy is much more start the studs. My philosophy is I will take consideration of matchups and situation. And my kind of rule of thumb is like twofold. I can handle a bad matchup, or I can handle an underperforming player, but I can't handle both. If you haven't been popping on all cylinders and it's a bad matchup, ooh.
My philosophy is
I
more
don't really
so.
care what your name is. You're going on the bench, player.
My philosophy more so is like, if it's a tenured stud, I know that they can go off at any given week, and I don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
No. And look,
both sides are valid.
it's just a risk. It's just a risk averse type of thing. San Fran, of course. C-Mac.
Yeah.
Always going to be in the lineup. George Kittle, definitely. You can always start Ayuk and maybe Jennings, but against a pretty tough defense in their own right in Cincy, and the offensive machine that we call the juggernaut has a couple wrenches in the gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, but something you can take a shot on with no Devo. I guess the only question I have is, okay, Purdy, he was the point guard, he was the John Stockton, he was running this machine. Last 2 games, under 60% completion, 2 to 3 touchdowns to interceptions. My hand is just right here. It's ready to smash that panic button. We're almost on fire the other way. Where are you at?
Get away from Purdy if you can. Bench him in this matchup if you can. I would say look to the waiver wire if you need to. See what you can do about not starting Purdy. Most people who have Purdy didn't draft him to be their starter.
Yeah.
But maybe it was Anthony Richardson. I don't know. Maybe
it was Joe Burrow.
Maybe it was Joe Burrow. No, Joe Burrow. I'll definitely start Joe Burrow over Brock Purdy. There are situations which might make you feel like he's still your best option, but I'd get away from him if I could. So, let's give us some examples for that. If for some reason you've got Dak Prescott sitting on your waivers, I would rather pick him up and play him. Let's see. Another one that we talked about would be, I'm going back in here, is like Geno Smith.
Okay.
If he happens to be available.
Cleveland? Ooh, I don't know.
I would still do it because I feel like he's a safe floor guy. I don't think he's really like a risky quarterback,
I would take Purdy there. It's close. I wouldn't be excited about starting either of them.
What about like a Derek Carr?
No, Derek Carr's just sad. He has a noodle arm. But I'll tell you who I would start over him. Actually, who I am starting over him. I would take CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. I might start Bryce Young.
Young. Love, yeah, maybe. That would be close for me, but it is a good matchup. The process is there. This is going to be a tough one to pick, but I think we should pick it.
Oh, we're going to pick them all. You know that.
I was asking, are you ready to pick it?
Oh, yeah.
I can go first. I feel like you've been going first more. We don't have any rhyme or reason for doing this. I'm going to take the 49ers to win outright. I don't know what's going on with Trent Williams right now. That didn't make it into my pre-pod research, but we will know before game time what's going on there. That does make a difference. Obviously, Purdy needs time in the pocket. He is not good at being rushed. But I think San Fran, even though they've been sputtering, I still just trust them as a team overall more. I think they have enough to take Cincy at home. But I will say, I think Cincy is still a threat coming off the bye. So I think 5.5 is tough. I'm gonna play the cover part closer to the chest to see who you end up picking in this game, to see if I even need to go that route. But we'll see who you got.
The NFL is a fickle bitch. I am taking Cincinnati in this game.
Outright.
Cincinnati's going to win this game.
Damn, bro. Three L's in a row for San Fran.
That's right. This is going to be that lull of the season for them.
Spicy.
Where Brock Purdy is getting exposed without Trent Williams. No Debo. McCaffrey is amazing. We all know this. Brandon Ayuk's great. Kittle's great. But I just feel like Cincy's defense has also played better in recent weeks. And I don't know. I just feel like coming out of a bye, Cincy's going to be ready to play. And
they're a rested and healthier team, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I think they're ready for an offensive, like, I don't want to go as far and say they're going to explode on offense, but I think they're going to be able to put together a nice game offensively, even against a good defense. I don't know. I just have Cincy in this game.
For what it's worth, I thought Cincy would beat the spread, so I thought it would be close.
Yeah.
I'm still taking San Fran, but yeah, I mean, so what you're saying is Purdy's not that good because basically if the conditions are not perfect and all of the chess pieces are not on the board, the King's kind of a pussy in reality. Like, he can only move one space at a time without his queen piece, without his rook, without everything else. Like, that's what we're kind of saying with this.
Well, I don't want to say Purdy's bad. I don't think he's going to look awful. I just don't think that they're going to be able to I don't think they're going to be able to outscore Cincy in this game. I think Cincy's going to come out with everything firing and just they're ready for a great.
Well, their season is on the line too, because Baltimore keeps putting more separation between them in a very, very tough division. So it's going to be a cool game to watch. I'm really interested to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Chicago in sunny Los Angeles, 8.5 road dogs, 46.5 over under. I don't think there is a must in Chicago at all. Yes, we had Donta Foreman who says, "Donta, stop believing in me." You can always start DJ because he's an animal and he's really good himself. I just don't necessarily think he's in must territory until Fields comes back. What are you thinking about that?
For me, I still look at DJ Moore as a must start. I don't think he's ever going to be lower than a wide receiver 2. I mean, we saw the guy put up like a 45 point week.
We also saw homie, whose name escapes me right now, the Division II quarterback, win a football game with 180 yards passing. So that's
but they were able to do that against a fucking just trash.
What happened, Andrew?
Raiders team.
But what happened though? Because this was a defense that actually showed us something for like a few weeks of a sample size, and then goes out there and fucking shits all over the mattress. What happened?
Josh McDaniels sucks, dude. That coaching staff is garbage over there.
I've had a fandom of some bad teams before. I gotta tell you, I don't know if there's a fan experience that could be worse than the Raiders fan experience. Maybe I'm being a prisoner of the moment, but like, just when you talk about like a team that strokes itself on past excellence and has like some hype and some playmakers coming into the season, and then it just fucking disappoints you all the time. That's the Raiders to me.
Yeah, they're definitely in like poverty franchise level for sure.
We should do. You know what? Let's do this one day. Let's do a poverty power ranking. Let's do. That's a
good idea.
Let's do a power ranking of like the worst vibes of being a fan.
We should.
The Jets have to be up there.
Well, we should do one of those tier maker videos.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, this game, Chicago. Yeah, I'm gonna start DJ. And I feel comfortable rolling out Donta even with Roshan back.
I was gonna say Roshan's back.
I know he's back. But I don't know if he's gonna really. I don't think his development has gotten to the point where the Bears are like, all right, you're gonna take 85% of the snaps. Like, I think Donta's a trustworthy guy that they want on the field at times, and there's a good chance he might end up being the goal line guy.
Yeah.
You know, so I still feel comfortable with starting him.
What is it with Donta that like there for like the last 3 seasons it feels like there has been a short stretch of season, long stretches of season where he's irrelevant. He's bouncing around practice squads. He's doing nothing. But there's like a 3 or 4 game stretch, it seems like the last couple years, where he just comes in and is like, oh, hey guys, what's up? It's me, Donta Foreman. I'm just gonna dominate and be a fucking RB1 for like 4 weeks, and then I'll disappear again. Like what is up with that?
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like, is it a conditioning thing? Like he can't. I don't know. It's weird because
he had some chops coming out. Like he didn't come out of nowhere. He had the Achilles thing.
Yep.
That he had to come back from. But yeah, it's weird to me because it happened again. He snuck up on me again, Andrew. I saw the depth chart. I saw he was there. I was like, whatever. It's Donta Foreman. Like, okay, he was a guy last year. But I've said that now twice, and I've gotten 30 bombs dropped on my head twice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an odd thing. I don't understand it. I can't pretend to try.
Why can't he just stay on a team if he can dominate like that? He did it in Carolina too. Yeah. Weird. It's fucking weird. I don't really have any analysis with that. I just am thinking out loud. You are now at the point 11 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Where you're just going to get my weird stream of consciousness. I'm sorry, fans.
All right, so let's say Chargers, Keenan, Eckler, Herbert. You're going to start them. I think Palmer is actually a good start in this game. I want him in my lineups.
Well, Chicago sure does suck on defense. So probably pretty decent.
Yeah. And when it comes to Mr. Johnston, just like drop him.
Yeah.
Dynasty excluded, but yeah, drop him. He's useless right now, and I don't see it getting better this season. I think maybe he's a proposition for next season. So
yeah, I mean he's
really a
guy that like I think he's still, of course, it's super early. He has a chance to develop, but I just don't understand the pick of why they did it. Like, you knew this guy was a year away from being a year away, and you're trying to do something this year, I thought, but whatever, okay. Let's pick this beast.
I'm gonna pick Chicago to cover.
Okay. So LA can still win outright for you.
I think LA's gonna win.
You think it's closer.
But I think Chicago is going to really rely on the run game this week and be somewhat successful enough to where, and then DJ Moore might be able to make a play. Like, I think they can keep it close. And because LA just has a way of being disappointing, but I think that
they always find a way.
Yeah, I think that Tyson Bagent was the quarterback's name. He had a awesome first game where he didn't have to do too much and he was able to look good. I think that he's going to be forced in a situation where he has to do a lot more and not look good. And but I still think that Chicago is just going to be able to keep it close because the Chargers have a way of shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah. And look, that's smart analysis because it's clearly happened all the time. But I'm going to be on the other side of that. I think it's the Chargers, and I think they do cover because I'm always a week late to takes. I had the Bears getting absolutely like road rashed last week. I think that rolls over to this week. I think that, like you said, I think the Bagent is just going to be forced to actually be a quarterback and not hand it off 50 times. And I don't think it's going to go very well. I think they need Fields coming back. Plus, I have a big bet on the Bears under total this year. So I kind of need that to happen and not Tyler Bagent to like be a winning quarterback. That would not be good for me. All right. We ready for the last game on our slate? Is this right? Is this the Monday night game?
Yep, it is.
Or am I tripping?
No, it's the Monday night game.
So on Monday night, I am going to have to sit my happy slappy ass down and watch Vegas roll up into Detroit. Okay. Thank you, NFL. I'm going to do it anyway, but all right. Detroit's home favorites, big time, 8 points, 45.5.
Yep.
We talked about it before. I don't have to talk about it. I mean, never to trust the Vegas Raiders ever again because I put faith in them this past week. Got to start Devontae, got to start Jacoby, got to start Josh Jacobs. Jimmy G is back. So hopefully the offense will be somewhat okay-ish.
Yeah.
Anything for you on the Vegas side?
That's really it, man. I have nothing else to say. That's it.
Cool.
Detroit, yeah.
Give it to him. Give it to him, Gibby.
Right? Yeah. Really, Detroit is pretty simple, man. Right now,
They've consolidated down.
It's Gibbs, Amon-Ra, and Goff, and they usually have one rando that does something interesting in the game. Is it ever going to be Jameson Williams? I have no idea. He got 6 targets last week. 0 catch.
Didn't do a lot with it.
Nothing. Literally nothing with him. Is it time to give up on him?
I mean, I think
for redraft specifically. You
called him Whiskey Dick for a good reason, I thought. Which for those I want to clarify this. I hope that everybody's picking this up from us, but this isn't some weird sexual reference to something that happened to him this past. His first name is Jameson, and his last name is Williams, which we shortened to Willie, which became Whiskey Dick. That is the evolution of the Whiskey Dick name for those of you at home. I don't know, man. It's been rough. He's been sleepwalking out there. I do think the suspension had something to do with it. That he's just not really being very effective in the offense. I think he will eventually figure it out. But your question was about redraft and being fantasy relevant.
Is
which
he
is a very different thing than dynasty,
or is he just a drop?
You can drop him. There's deep leagues that exist out there where, I think he's definitely worth being on a roster, not every roster, right? But I mean, if you're talking about, I gotta go get a defense. I have to go pick up a Dak Prescott because I don't want to start Brock Purdy in this bad matchup. You can do it because what is gonna happen? What is the best case scenario this season with good old Whiskey Dick? What's the best case scenario?
The best case scenario to me is he's on the field more than he's not, and he's getting a couple deep shots a game.
Yeah, which, I mean, that kind of just puts him in the Gabe Davis territory, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's your best case scenario,
right?
If that happens, if somebody else picks him up and he becomes a Gabe Davis on that team, you know what I call that? I call that a fantasy landmine. That is not the kind of player that I ever really want to invest in big time in fantasy. Yeah. Now, Jameson Williams, when he earns his name back and stops being Whiskey Dick, 2 years down the road, a year down the road, whatever, he can be amazing. Let's not forget the kind of talent he was coming out of school.
He was so highly drafted by them too.
Yeah, so
they don't seem to care much about.
Right, exactly. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, of course he can still be awesome. He's a great talent, but the high variance, the touchdown or bust, the deep shot reliance, I'm more of an Amon-Ra type of guy. That's the kind of receiver I like. The guy that maybe he doesn't burn the defense for 2 touchdowns and 185 yards on 3 catches, but he's going to give me 7 catches. I'd rather have that. So I'm not gonna tell everybody here like you have to go drop Whiskey Dick because just like a Whiskey Dick, it may not be working right now. It may be a little soft and flaccid right now, but you give yourself a little time to sober up. You rally with a sandwich out of the fridge, and maybe you can get there. Maybe you can. But,
right. So
but
I don't think it's going to be this season.
Hold out hope.
So yeah, basically, I think what you're saying too is he is the last player on your roster. He's on the roster bubble.
He's on the bubble.
Yeah.
I'm still holding out for one more game to see what happens, but it's not good. Now a little sliver of hope. Marvin Jones, did you hear about that whole thing?
Yeah, he family issues or something. So
yeah. That doesn't solve the problem of Whiskey Dick just not like looking like a great part of the offense on the field, but that does remove a potential obstacle for playing time. So, if you're looking for a positive spin,
that's one of those things that's hard to say. We as fantasy players, especially with like younger, unproven players, we have a tendency to look forward almost too optimistically. And I can see that being one of those things where it's like, oh, there's a clear path, and it's like, yeah, for Khalif Raymond.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
the path is never clear, especially with Dan Campbell. Like he's like, I didn't like the way Jameson's face looked on his daily 50 push-ups. He didn't look like he was enjoying himself. Get off my field. All right.
I'm taking Detroit to win. I'm taking Detroit to whoop that ass.
So they will cover the 8. You're saying?
Yeah, they're gonna bounce back big time.
Yeah, dude, I'm fading Vegas forever because of what they've done to me personally. So yeah, I've also got Detroit spanking that booty.
All right, man. Are you ready for our world famous Guaran-TDs?
Yes, I am. And you're a douche for picking your Guaran-TD, by the way. I saw what you did. But I'll allow it. All right. Are we ready to do this?
Yeah, man. So let me get your Guaran-TD at the running back spot.
We've just trashed on this guy. It hasn't been great all year. You're probably wondering, what the shit am I going to do with this guy? How can I possibly justify starting him? This is the week. Dame Pierce up against the sad sack Carolina Panthers. He will have one angry, pissed off, I'm fighting for my job, 5-yard push the pile into the end zone. He will be there.
All right. Cool. I like it. I'm going to go with the back-to-back touchdown weeks for Jahmyr Gibbs. I think
Chalky.
Is it? He's got 1 touchdown on the season.
Yeah, but he also is the guy now, at least temporarily, on Detroit, behind Penei Sewell.
Is he though? I mean, we just 1 week ago talked about Craig Reynolds. So
okay, all right.
I mean, if you want to change yours, you can change yours. But
okay, you know what? Well, so because you went chalkier, I'm going to say this: you have to call out: is it in the air or on the ground?
It's going to be on the ground. He's going to run it in.
Okay.
He's going to run and touchdown in. Yeah.
Then I will allow it.
All right. So a rushing touchdown for Gibbs. We'll do better at actually setting these parameters for who counts as it, who doesn't. My wide receiver is going to be T. Higgins, because it's been a while since we've seen Mr.
It's
T.
been a while. Since
hasn't.
T. Higgins
Since
hasn't been
last
goosing
song.
my lineup.
He's I think T. Higgins is due after the bye. He's going to be healthier, and San Francisco, they're a really good defense, but I think T is talented enough to exploit them and get in the end zone.
Yeah, and as great as San Fran is, they're great up front. They're great in the linebacker core. If they can be had anywhere, it's on the outside.
Yeah.
If a play is even allowed to develop that long. My Guaran-TD, you can call it a little chalky, but it's Nico. I'm taking Uncle Nico for a touchdown for show this week. Like I said, Carolina is just sad. I think the sadness just keeps continuing. And Nico's going to grab one.
I like it. Two Guaran-TDs from the same team. That's
I honestly, I'm so tired I didn't even put that together. Yes, because I just think Houston dunks.
True. So yeah, and I have Carolina winning that game. So, but I think it's going to be high scoring. So it's definitely possible. Who's your tight end?
Dalton Kincaid. Again, because of everything we said before, like there's a chance you could call this chalky, but like outside of the top three, I don't think any tight end is chalky to get a touchdown. But I see the vision in my mind. I see it happen. Tampa Bay has played a clean game on defense all game long. We've played the Bills close. It's late in the fourth quarter, and all I see is the back of a Devin White jersey fall forward into the run pile as he got duped by the play action and Kincaid streaking up the seam. I see that vision in my mind happening.
Clear as day, as if it already happened.
As if it already happened.
And I have the same vision with my tight end, Taysom Hill.
I hate that you made that your Guaran-TD. You fucker.
So, Taysom Hill
he should be a running back Guaran-TD. He should be a quarterback Guaran-TD.
Well, I'll call this one too. This will be a tight end wildcat from the 2. Snap it to him. He hesitates for a second, and then just easily runs it in.
By the way, great pick. I'm only mad because it is such a great pick. Because dude, that's what he does. He's like he is their goal line offense. I don't understand how he's so good at that. Like, there's so many he's a big dude. There's so many big dudes in the NFL. Like, how is it literally so easy for him to just get 3 yards? And why doesn't every team have a Taysom Hill?
I don't know, but he is kind of a anomaly with what he does. So yeah, Paul, are you ready for your performance?
Absolutely not. My voice is pretty shot at this point. I feel it going, but I always fight through for the people. I hope the 4 of you that are still listening at this point enjoy my home team hustle. We had a crazy week this week, but now I have to get into character.
Get into character, brother.
Week 7 of the home team. We saw some blowouts, and we saw some blow-ins, and we saw some Bijans for 4 snaps. In the first matchup, Chief blew his fab and blew the matchup as he got absolutely slapped around by Kyle and Jameer giving him the business. And the entire Cleveland Browns defense and special teams, yes, that includes the kicker, giving him a double kick to the groin, 142 to 119. In the second matchup, Jason Heisenberg says, "I'm not in trouble, I am the trouble," as he absolutely steamrolls Wancho behind the Ravens' power stack. Hey, Juan, Watson, your lineup, nothing. Case and rolls, 140 to 87. In the next matchup, Tyler and LJ this week had a battle of the alphabets. AJB, MP, MPJ, and JT take care of business versus the LJ Rams because JWJ did not get it. DONE. 108 to 97. In the next matchup, fuck this shit indeed. Bijan was feeling sick, but nowhere near as sick as Drewski felt looking at his lineup. Don't give up, Chris. You're finally back in the win column. Barely. 98 to 90. In the last matchup of the league, Addison became Added Daddy overnight as he absolutely smokes Bobo for a 30 burger, the first one of his career. Bobby's team puts forth a feeble effort that is not even worth review. Enjoy Chugo numero dos this week, brother. Jeremy rolls 128 to 75.
Boom. Great job, man. Great job. Always well thought out, well put together. How have I not chugged, man? That's like the one saving grace on the season that
So
I have.
you're this year's LJ.
I am.
The lowest scoring team, but that never actually scores the lowest.
Yeah. It's I've skated by barely, but yeah, man. Dude, week 8, it's a full slate. Good luck to everybody out there. Get yourself a W.
1-6, 0-7, whatever you are, don't just stop believing. Later on, peeps.
Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.